Thanks, Mark, and thanks to Heartland and everyone for having me here today. It really is exciting to talk about ed reform in a state that is truly ripe for reform. As everyone else has said, the status quo has not worked nationally, not here in West Virginia. And I think if you look just at the national landscape, despite per pupil expenditures tripling since the 1970s, we've seen reading achievement remain flat, we've seen math improve only nominally. Graduation rates are the same today that they were in the 1970s. So clearly the status quo has not worked. And unfortunately here in West Virginia, students lag really far behind the national average. In math, just 19% of 8th graders here are considered proficient. Students are also below the national average in reading. Just 22% of 8th graders are proficient in reading here, and a third cannot even read at a basic level. So clearly the status quo has not worked for West Virginia students. But we know school choice has the ability to significantly improve academic achievement and improve on those statistics. In Washington, D.C., where student achievement statistics are far more dismal than those here in West Virginia, we've seen that school choice has significantly impacted both academic achievement and school attainment. So let me just first briefly start with a quick overview of the DC Opportunity Scholarship Program, which is the voucher program in DC. The DC voucher program is one of the best examples, in my opinion, of the capacity of a school choice program to improve student outcomes. Prior to the creation of the DC Opportunity Scholarship Program in DC, students in the nation's capital were relegated to really the worst performing public schools in the country. 60% of DC students are below basic in math, half are below basic in reading, and sadly just 49% of DC students graduate high school. Really dismal statistics. And on top of all of those really sad stats about their academic achievement, 1 in 8 students in DC reports being threatened with a deadly weapon. So while DC public schools rank the worst academically, they have the very notorious distinction of ranking first in school safety problems and violence. But thankfully, since 2004, low-income students in the nation's capital have had a lifeline out of those underperforming and unsafe public schools. The DC Opportunity Scholarship Program provides scholarships of up to $7,500 for poor children in the nation's capital to attend a private school of their choice. And last year, about 1,300 children benefited from a voucher to attend a private school. And we know that that number could have actually been much higher. There are about 4 applicants for every available scholarship to the DC voucher program. And by all accounts, it has been just a resounding success. Not only are children safer, which is always a parent's first concern, but their parents are happier and student achievement has increased significantly. Federally mandated evaluations of the DC Opportunity Scholarship Program show that students are reading about 3.7 months ahead of their peers in public school. That might not sound that impressive, but if you extrapolate that over the course of a child's academic lifetime, that's about 2 full years in additional reading achievement. But just 1 month ago, even more impressive results were released. The 4th and final federally mandated evaluation of the DC voucher program included graduation rates for the first time. And students in the voucher program, those students who were awarded a voucher and actually used a voucher to attend a private school, had a 91% graduation rate. And recall that a few minutes ago I said the graduation rate in DC is just 49%. So that is a fantastic improvement on those graduation rates in DC. And in education policy, we tend to view dropout prevention programs as kind of the holy grail of policy. And clearly from this, school choice is a dropout prevention program that works. The attainment aspect, these significantly improved graduation rates, cannot be understated. Dr. Patrick Wolf, the lead researcher for the Institute for Education Sciences that produced this federally mandated evaluation, said that if a program boosts the graduation rate and does nothing else, it's a success. High school graduates live longer, they experience lower rates of unemployment, they have higher wages on average, and are less likely to be convicted of a crime. And in DC, impressively, these results come at a fraction of the cost of what DC public schools are spending. At $7,500 per voucher, that's about half of what the DC public schools spend, which is at the low end about $16,800 per student. And that's at the low end. Other researchers put that number closer to $28,000 per student. So the DC voucher program, at a minimum, is costing only half of what it costs in DC public schools. But Unfortunately, the DC voucher program, one of the few private voucher programs in the country, is being phased out by the Obama administration, despite its proven track record. And sadly, it's purely a matter of politics. But in other areas across the country, states are moving aggressively to provide more school choice options to their students. Just this year alone, the Senate in Illinois passed a voucher program introduced by a Democrat for Chicago students. But while ultimately this was defeated in the House, it's noteworthy and it's a step in the right direction. And another indication that parents want more options for their children.